Hi, this is Pat. What I'm wondering is this. Have you ever been in a state, an activity, some kind of task that you've got totally engrossed in? You've really got yourself so wrapped up in it. It's such a rich experience for you that it just feels totally effortless, and you're going with the moment. The time itself seems to almost distort. It either really compresses that, 5 minutes feels like 5 hours, or 5 hours feels like 5 minutes. And you even lose a sense of yourself during those times. You kind of don't know where you end and where the environment itself begins. You feel like you're just part of it, like a raindrop that's fallen into a river and is being carried along with it. Well, there's a science behind those moments that we can understand better in order to perform better. Because what we find in those moments is that that's when we perform at our absolute best. We're at our absolute peak when we get into those moments, and we're no longer struggling with it. We're no longer having to put that much conscious effort into these things, but we're just going with the moment and doing what we're absolutely best at doing. It becomes an unconscious type of activity instead of something we're really working at. So these effortless, timeless, selfless, rich experiences have been studied by scientists in recent years and are now being unpacked and taught to people like you and me to help us to be able to get into those states more regularly, to perform at our very best and get so much more done. And not only to achieve so much more, which is the first thing that happens, is to actually enjoy the process as it takes place as well, which is an added benefit. Why? Because we keep wanting to do more of it. So those peak states are absolutely critical. There are some people for whom this is really, really important. If you're a top athlete, you have to get into these states on a regular basis in order to perform your best. But it's also true for musicians, for surgeons, for soldiers, and especially the special forces, where literally if you don't get into this state, it can be a life and death thing, moment by moment. But even for those people for whom you're just wanting to perform your best and deliver your best, well, these moments are critical. So it's called by all sorts of different names. The jazz musicians will call it being in the pocket. They're just absolutely there. Other musicians call it the groove. Runners will call it the runner's high. Those marathon runners who just say they get into that place, they push through the wall, and suddenly it flows. And flow is the word that a guy called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi coined back in the 70s, and is becoming a major part of the stuff that I'm doing now with the Authentic Self Leadership Tribe. In London, we're meeting monthly, and we're going to be exploring and unpacking exactly what it means to get into these flow states. What are the flow states? What happens in terms of the brainwave patterns? Because there's a specific series, a sequence of brainwave patterns that take place leading up to and going through and coming out from these flow experiences that are critical for us to understand. There's also then the neurochemistry that we need to understand in terms of what actually happens to neurotransmitters, what happens in terms of norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, anandamide, all sorts of other, this cocktail of neurochemicals that we need to consider. They are neurotransmitters, they are hormones, and they are changing the way in which we go about things through the flow experience in order to help us deliver the best and recover from it afterwards, which is pretty crucial as well. So how can we get into those states? There are specific things we can do to set ourselves up on a daily basis to have more of those moments, to deliver more of what is most important to us. And understanding those, helping to set ourselves up for those, is what we're going to be dealing with. Flow States for Life and Leadership is the title of the event that we have coming up on September the 19th. Would love it if you can be there. Go to meetup.com, put in the Authentic Self-Leadership Tribe and find the group, join the group, sign up for your ticket for that night, but join us for an ongoing series on flow states and how they can help you to perform your very best anytime that you want them to.